Now, after a controversy involving the Miss Universe pageant being held in Israel, the South African government has withdrawn its support for the Miss South Africa pageant. Some countries have criticized the Miss South Africa organizers and the current title holder for agreeing to participate in the event. Rights organizations have called on Lalela Mswane to refuse to attend the event due to the Israeli government's continued occupation of Palestine. Now, joining me now from Johannesburg in South Africa is journalist and editor Dianne Hawker. Dianne, good to see you again. And the government pulling its support for the pageant is quite a severe move. Now, how does this justify it?
Yes, absolutely. Good evening, Sulaiman, and good evening to the viewers as well. The South African government has been sort of watching the controversy as it's been unfolding since it was announced that our current Miss South Africa would be participating in this pageant. And initially, it started with some rights organizations who usually take issue with the situation in Israel, such as BDS, which is an organization that regularly does have protests and raises issue around Israel. But it continued to escalate with other people saying that the South African government can't keep quiet, considering that South Africa was once an apartheid state. And a lot of these organizations have classified Israel as an apartheid state, particularly because of the occupation of Palestine and the fact that, there's that separation in terms of the areas that Palestinians are able to enter. And there's been a call really for the South African government to take a firm stance because from an international relations perspective, they have previously taken a stance against Israel. You'll recall a few months ago, they raised questions about why Israel was given observer status at the African Union. And that's sort of how things escalated. And the South African government explains in their statement that there are concerns around the sort of human rights record of the Israeli government, and that they feel that Miss South Africa, the organizers and the individual who is Miss South Africa, which is Lalela Mswane, should not be participating because of South Africa's past, but also because of the stance that the South African government has previously taken on issues relating to Israel.
And what about the Miss SA pageant organizers? Are they saying anything on this move by the SA government?
Well, the Miss SA pageant actually put out a statement just before the government statement saying that they view the pageant as not being political, that it's basically just a beauty pageant. And a lot of people have been critical of that decision based on South Africa's history. In South Africa during the time of apartheid, the Miss South Africa pageant was actually, it did have a political element to it because Black people were not allowed to participate in the pageant, and only white South Africans were allowed to participate in the pageant. So they've questioned how the pageant can say that it is not in any way political when in the past the country's politics have obviously played a part. And also some of the questions that the contestants are asked do sometimes actually enter that area of resolving issues that are taking place in the country. But in addition to that, people have basically said that their response is a bit tone deaf to the issues that people are raising about the Israeli government. I mean, you'll remember that just earlier this year, there were concerns raised about the airstrikes that the Israeli government was making into Gaza. A news organization building was also bombed at the time. Several civilians were also injured and killed in those strikes. So there has also been a recent escalation in that situation. And, they basically were saying that there was an opportunity for the Miss SA pageant organizers to do the right thing, even though the Lalela Mswane would have wanted to participate, but rather to take the correct path from a political perspective.
Well, Dianne, before I let you go quickly, are there any rights group or, individual who is actually pushing this now that the South African government has spoken and the organizers have also given their own side of this? What are the people saying? What's the gist out there in South Africa?
Well, if you look at social media mainly, many people are actually saying that the Miss South Africa pageant is incorrect. But recently, the Jewish Board of Deputies, which is a local organization that is founded by Jewish South Africans, they also manage the Holocaust Museum here in South Africa. They have been critical of the South African government's decision, saying that it is the wrong move to take. But of course, you would understand that they are coming from a perspective of being a Jewish organization and Israel obviously being a majority Jewish country. So that's likely to be the perspective that they're coming from. But on the other hand, other political organizations, the African National Congress and BDS, which I mentioned earlier on, they have come out saying that they are happy with the South African government's position, saying that, South Africa, as a country that has survived apartheid, cannot support a country that is currently in the current state actually perpetuating an apartheid situation. So it's likely to continue to be a big talking point in South Africa. I don't think it's the end of this story just yet.
Dianne Hawker, many thanks for unpacking this for us.